Somewhere in the middle of the night, on a trail most people will never see, a runner keeps moving forward. No cameras, no crowds, no finish line in sight, just effort. And the quiet question every runner eventually asks, why am I still doing this? We hear a lot about the champions of the sport, the elites, the records, the highlight reels, but the truth is, most runners live somewhere in the middle, fighting the clock, fighting their own mind, chasing something personal. Today's guest, Steve, decided those stories mattered too. He's a running coach and an ultra runner who's pushed into distances most people can't even comprehend, and someone who was once told his limits were already set. Instead of stopping, he picked up a camera and told the real story, the grind, the struggle, and the moments that make you question everything and keep going anyway. His documentary isn't about winning, it's about becoming. Today, we're talking about the film, the miles behind it, and what happens when ordinary runners chase something that feels impossible. Cue that intro music.
Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy it a lot.
Welcome back to the Ostrich Running Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Meraz, and with me, as always, semi-always
these days,
is Jarrett, the juice from concentrate Horton.
the legend.
Yeah, you're not even 100% juice anymore.
Yeah, I'll get it back.
You're getting it back?
Yeah.
He's still coming back out of that hole that he was in, but I think he's recovering well. You're playing soccer now again, right?
Yeah, I'm back playing soccer.
He's back on a mission to try to get us ultra runners to stop running ultras, and so far he is,
especially after what I went through.
he is down. The numbers aren't looking good for Jarrett right now. You're not winning this battle.
Yeah, no. The ultra runners are definitely beating me right now, but this year I'm going to turn it up.
Well, I got another runner for you today who's going to help you lose this battle even more. And I know you're familiar with them.
And this is a different type of runner. We're moving up to 200s now. I heard
multiple 200s.
I've heard through the grapevine that his favorite is the 200.
The 200 multiple times, which,
doesn't even make sense.
It got me thinking a little bit about it, but I think we're going to jump into it a little bit more. But I want to welcome everybody to the show, Steve Epifano. Steve, he is the creator, the director of the documentary, Oh No, a Cocodona Story. He is a local running coach, local ultra runner out here in Orange County. Steve, we are so honored and grateful to have you on the show. Let's go ahead and ruin Juice's opportunity to take out another ultra runner. But please introduce yourself to our listeners, and thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, like you said, my name's Steve Epifano, and certified running coach here. Live in San Clemente. Originally, I'm from the East Coast. Moved out here in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of where I picked up ultra running when I moved out here, because you could pretty much run 24/7 if you want, 365. And yeah, just a firm believer in that, a lot of people can go a lot further than they think if they just are dedicated to it and put the consistency in.
I love that. Where in the East Coast are you from?
That's what I was going to say.
I'm right outside of Philly on the New Jersey side, Cherry Hill area, so South Jersey.
Okay.
So you're not missing that snow right now?
Not at all. They got another 20 inches today. Yeah, it was no good.
Yeah, it's insane.
I had to reschedule. I was going to be on another podcast, and the host is out of Canada, and he messaged me and he's like, look, my kids are home from school. Nobody's leaving the house. There's no way we're going to be able to record this. Can we move it to later in the week? I'm like, you got it. I'm just going to go enjoy this mid-70s weather.
It is insane.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, what's the running like out over there? So you started running after you moved here, correct?
No, that's kind of, I found ultra running when I was here in 2019, but I started running back around 2013, kind of really starting to take it seriously again. And then you kind of go through everything. You go through the 110% humidity in the summer where it's 98 and it feels like you're running in pea soup. And then in the winter, It's icy and you're running in the snow and you're putting on like 5 layers before you go out, which both kind of suck. You may have like 3 good weeks of running.
Oh my gosh.
Were you an athlete growing up?
I just did a little bit of track in like grade school, cross country in high school, and then in college I just got real fat.
I think that's the sport that we usually do around that time, right? That's the
start eating.
Yeah, the thickening up phase, right?
Did you thicken up?
Oh, absolutely.
In high school?
Maybe. I mean, I didn't go to college because I went straight to the military out of high school. I always had some problems keeping weight.
Look, you're a busy boy.
I was a busy boy, and but I did. I mean, soaking wet my whole life, probably 115 pounds. Like playing football, I was getting in lacrosse. I was getting crushed out there because I had no body weight. These kids were monsters, but I just had heart, and I liked getting beat up, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think when I got into the Navy, I started really like eating a lot and just lifting a lot, and I was a solid 145, maybe 150.
Okay.
And that was probably the biggest that I'd ever got. And I think after that, then it just, I stopped, and then I got skinny again.
Got it.
But for other reasons.
Yeah.
So Steve, yeah, like, I mean, that's a whole nother grit for those East Coast runners, right? Not having weather like that, having to get up in the cold and just have that pain hit you. Did that kind of shape a little bit of your mindset as far as pushing through uncomfortableness?
Yeah, I think so. I think it kind of had like the inklings of starting out there. I never like expected to do what I was doing. It didn't have to go through kind of what I was doing the train for, the 100s and 200s. But out there, I still stuck to a routine. Like I would get up and pretty much do 10 miles every day for 5 days a week, just kind of no matter what the weather was. So it's just, I think I'm just too stubborn and to not do something if it's on my calendar, even though it's no matter how much it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, if that goes on the checklist of being an ultra runner, stubbornness is to the top of that list.
Right.
We have to be very stubborn.
You guys all have that in common.
We're a very stubborn group of people.
So, Steve, what got you into running? Like, what made you say, I'm going to start running now? And, and did you jump right into running 10 miles?
Yeah, with the cross
longer
country.
distances? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so when I wasn't really, like I said, I'm like 5'8", so I gained a lot of weight in college. So I was like probably up close to almost 200 pounds. So like 190. So I was like 30 pounds heavier than where I wanted to be. And it wasn't like a good 200 pounds. Like there are some other people that have that on the 5'8" frame that it's good, right? Like it's all muscle and everything. I just wasn't eating the right things. And then I had a health scare where I went to the cardiologist and they found out that I have a bicuspid aortic valve. And then along with that comes a aortic aneurysm. Usually people don't see that until the aneurysm dissects and it's too late. So thankfully I went and got tested. Right. But it's just really where the aorta kind of balloons coming out of the heart. And it's a little bit more prone for rupture. So I couldn't do any strength training. Couldn't really get my heart rate over 180 for any extended period of time. So the only thing I really knew what
Were you
to
in
do,
pain?
No, I did. I was having some kind of like, I think it's like stress related issues that I thought was like chest pain. And when I went, they're like, there's nothing wrong there. It's not from this, but luckily you came in because we found this.
Yeah.
So then
because you were in the corporate world when you found this out, right? You were already kind of impacting stress, right? So, what were you doing in the corporate world? And I mean, obviously stress of the job is a big thing that we don't really think about until it's too late.
Yeah. So, for that year or that part of my career, I was at Lockheed Martin. I worked at Lockheed Martin for 10 years, defense contractor. Oh, wow. So
my dad was a Lockheed Martin guy. That's crazy.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the time I was there was like 140,000 employees. So it's incredible how many people that they hire.
Yeah.
I think I was more worried about like climbing the corporate ladder, having that kind of stress to be able to get up to where I thought I wanted to be. So that's probably what it was. And then thankfully I went in and got checked, and it was around the time I was just getting married. We had just bought a house. So there's like a lot of external things that were a lot of stressors. And, the doctor was like, well, you can't lift anything over 10 pounds. You can't do anything strenuous. So the only thing I knew I could do was run. And I didn't know that at the time, but keeping my heart rate low was putting me in just a giant aerobic base building mode since like 2013.
Oh, wow. So, they said that you could run, right? Mm-hmm. Did they say that it's okay to run 200 milers?
No, not at all.
Even 10 miles.
Yeah. Right. So the initial, because there's really not that many studies based on endurance athletes with this condition. There's one other guy that I know of that I've seen that he's completed multiple 100-milers. But they just want to be really careful with it. So again, you can't get your heart rate up over 180 for any length of time. And they said initially I probably wasn't going to run anything over a half marathon. So I just said, okay, if I'm going to run a half marathon, I'm just going to keep running a half marathon. So that's kind of where I started. I mean, I started at like a 5K when I got back in. That was awesome, being able to, like, my first 5K in probably like 10 years, or like since I had graduated high school, and then just built my way up to the half marathon. And then when I did my first Philly half marathon in like 2017, I was kind of pissed because I was like, well, they told me I can't do the second half of this because you run at the same time as the marathon people. You start with
exactly.
them. So I was kind of pissed, and I was like, well, what do I have to do to do that? So then they just started clearing me for more and more. And then eventually they're like, whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. I was like, well, I just run for a really long time, just really like pretty low heart rate. And they're like, well, it's working, so just keep doing it.
Yeah, I was curious, how that affected your training, like moving forward.
Did the doctors say that you should run, like when you got diagnosed with this, or were they?
It was
you were
anything
just telling them that I just want to run.
It was like you could do light, like cardio. Cardio is the best thing you can do for this because it keeps your blood pressure low. Anything that you're doing to keep your blood pressure low. And I didn't want to go on meds, which is why I changed my diet up, lost like 30 pounds, and then, tried to quit all my vices that I had and tried to be somewhat healthy. And, it ebbs and flows as you go through life. You're like, I do like a couple of drinks every once in a while, but I've been sober for like 3 years now, which has been huge for me.
Awesome.
But yeah, it was just, I couldn't see myself like doing like an aerobics class or anything like that. So I was like, I'm just going to go run and keep my heart rate really low. And then just from being a coach, now I know the huge aerobic benefits of just running in zone 1, 2, or like RPE, rated perceived exertion 3 through 5. I mean, it just lowers your blood pressure, makes your heart more efficient. So I didn't know it, but I was building like this huge diesel engine that was getting stronger as I went.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
Does that affect? I mean, I notice like when I get up to higher elevation and I'm running, my heart rate just spikes, right? Are you specifically choosing races that may not be at a higher elevation, or do you ever worry about maybe doing something at a higher elevation with a higher perceived effort because of your condition?
I just make sure that I'm as fit as possible before I go in and do those ones. So I just did, I did Mammoth this year, the Mammoth 200 in October.
Oh, nice.
And then, we sat there. I think the average elevation there was like 8,500 feet.
Yep.
So I did some specific things in my training, like heat training, which is the poor man's altitude training, where...
Oh, that's good to know.
It's pretty much, it's the same physiological, almost the same physiological adaptation as training at elevation. So I would, go for my run and then
that makes sense. Like
after
maybe
breakfast,
why
hop in sauna.
the altitude Yeah, that makes sense because Look, I've tried every electrolyte product out there, the super sugary ones, the ones with the gimmick salt, the tablets that take forever to dissolve. On a lot of these, they mess my stomach up. But Ostrich Salt, it's different. Simple. Just pure electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium malate in the ratio your body actually needs when you're sweating through mile 30, 50, or 80. I created this because I needed it. When I was out at Kodiak 100 running through the night, cramping was not an option. When you're managing 100 miles, you can't afford to bonk because your electrolytes are off. So I made something that works. No artificial flavors, no BS, just quality ingredients. And here's the thing, whether you're running ultras or you're just trying to get through a hot 10K without cramping, your body needs electrolytes. That's not negotiable. Now head to ostrichrunning.com and grab some electrolytes today. Use code SALTY6 to try your own 6-pack for $6. You know, life is so busy, right? Some of my runs during my training block for Kodiak ended up being right at noon, and that's 90 something degrees throughout that whole training block. And I wonder if that's definitely what helped me with the success of lowering that elevation sickness that I was expecting to feel when I went up there. And I was watching everybody drop, especially when it got hot. But to me, I was doing 20 miles in 90-degree heat and, you know, kind of just felt okay and just learned how to really breathe through it, focus. That's what I really like about running too, is you can almost feel the control of your body, whether it's heart rate, breathing, stride, effort, all of this stuff in real time as you're going through. We get so in tune with our body.
Right.
It's such a cool feeling once you start hearing these messages of
even when
of
you're
this
not
machine.
running, right?
Yeah,
Like,
even
yeah,
when I can feel things like off throughout the day. Hey, I probably need a little bit more water, or you know, this is not working. Maybe I need to get some food. When I'm feeling kind of low, sluggish, I think, did I even eat today? Next thing you know, it's like been all
when you were
day.
bigger or fatter, did you feel you weren't in tune with your body? You were just like, I feel like crap. I feel like crap every day.
Okay, so Steve, what happened for me when I put my weight on was I got sober. This is my 8th year of sobriety, off drugs and alcohol. And, you know, I was doing things that kept me pretty skinny, right?
Yeah.
So when I got off a lot of that stuff, the body starts craving sugars, glucose, and I was feeding into those cravings. So I too got about 193, 194, and I just knew that like, hey, this is too big now. This is not good. I need to really, especially for my height size, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I felt my body. I couldn't know. It wasn't trained at that point. I didn't know that I was feeling bad.
You were just like,
I don't even really recall. I just knew that something wasn't right. But I'll tell you when I first felt like crap is when I went on that first mile run and I thought I was going to die. It's like, I used to be able to run further than this. This feels like death for me right now. And you know, I think over the years of running longer distances, it's a muscle in itself to be able to receive those messages from your body and your brain, because I didn't know what I needed even on other races. And I was just puking or falling out or just feeling super sluggish and wondering why all these other people can complete 50-mile races, but, and still walk home or drive home after, right? I was dead after those things. I'm like, how are these people doing this? But it becomes a muscle. It becomes, you know, practice, right? You tinker with it. What works for somebody doesn't work for you. You start finally dialing in this whole routine that your body can adapt to and adjust to. And then they start getting a little bit more fun after. Maybe not at the 200-mile distance when you break yourself down completely, right? Wow. But so, Steve, tell me, you know, what made you decide to make this documentary and specifically focus on people like us, the middle of the pack guys? What made you go into that?
I mean, I think that's exactly why. I mean, there's not a whole lot out there. I mean, usually the documentaries follow the leaders. Like, I mean, Aravaipa did it and they did a great job. I think it was like the top 5 men and women last year that were in it. They just came out this year with the kind of the same thing, the back of the back people. I think it's called Chasing Cutoffs or something like that. So, but before that, that's really all there was. And Wes Plater is a big inspiration. His name is Midpack Elite on Instagram. He's a great guy. He has his own race that's a 100-miler, but he's done a ton of 200s, and he has a really cool YouTube and Vimeo site that puts together all his races, and it's from the mid-pack and everything. So I was like, you know what? Let's do that. But I also didn't want it to be a YouTube type thing. One, I'm never good with YouTube, and I'm not that creative. So I also just quit my job. So I was like, let's kind of make a story around all of this where to show you can take a leap and you can take faith in yourself. And then how running has helped shape my life outside of running, if that makes any sense. Just because of the belief that you have in yourself while you're running and while you're training, how to take on other obstacles in your life. So I was like, I'm not the best with money. So I just quit my job, and I was like, hey, Kate, I told my wife, I was like, why don't we make a documentary? She said, sure. I was like, okay, let's spend a bunch of money on this documentary. And thankfully I had some really creative guys that, I hired, Sackfly Productions out of, Oregon. It was really cool too, because he had just quit his job to pursue his dream of being a filmmaker. And it was his first giant documentary as well. So I felt like we were kind of kindred spirits in there. And I was like, look, I'm going to take a leap of faith on you. You're going to take a leap of faith on me. And we're going to go get this thing done together. And that's why I really wanted to show the people, like, I firmly believe that anybody can do it. I mean, I would probably say almost anybody, but as long as you train, you put the distance, the time on your feet in, you can pretty much do anything you want to do in life. And that's kind of what I wanted to show.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, and the documentary is beautiful. So shout out to Sackfly. I mean, it's great. Just the music, the visuals, all of it is just like this super calming, just like, I don't know, it felt good to watch. And the story was great. Sackfly, they did such a great job. It was just beautifully done, especially for the first documentary. I thought it was incredible and moving. And, like I mentioned, the sub stories of what your wife goes through while you're out there on these races. I think we talked about it before we started this was, our crew chiefs, especially if we have a crew chief who's our spouse, they're in it just as much as us. They're stressed out. They're wondering, are they hurt? Are they suffering? And she said in the documentary, and this is kind of where she started to break down a little bit. She just doesn't want you to be in pain, right? She loves you so much that, seeing you hurt and suffer like that, it's like they feel that. They're so invested. And it just, made me step back and just appreciate what our families and our friends, whoever you have out there supporting you, I said friends, okay? This guy put himself in the hospital for 2 weeks for me, just showing up to watch the race. I thank you. He was waiting for this for so long. Thank you so much for sacrificing your body and your sleep and watching my kids while my wife was out there. There we go. The documentary helped me see that.
Thank you.
All the listeners out there, go watch the documentary and tell me what you get out of this. But I think all of that is just so beautiful and it's so spot on. I had another question.
So I admire people who decide to go out on their passions. What made you decide to leave, the corporate world and go into running full time and coaching full time?
Yeah, I think it was probably after my first Cocodona 250, actually. Like my mindset completely shifted. I would say something kind of awoke in me there, just because, and it's really interesting. It can happen in 50 milers, 50 Ks, wherever, but I think it just took me to completely physically break down at a 250 where there's like nothing left. There's no pride left. There's no ego left. You're completely raw and you're just who you were meant to be at that point. So then when I came back, there was a huge mindset change to where absolutely nobody can own any more space in my mind where before they would be able to. So in particular, my boss at my previous position, it would just be like, I'll be on 24/7, right? I hear a Slack message come through, hear a text come through. And then he also knew he kind of owned space in my head. So whatever it was, I would get things done. Just because I put all my worth in how well I was doing at my job. But then that finally shifted. I was like, there's other things out there. Like, my worth is not based on, and my identity is not based on a job, right? And it's so baked into us, I think, especially our generation, that you got to hustle, you got to work hard, and you'll be rewarded, which I was, and I'm not complaining about that. But on the flip side, I wasn't rewarded in terms of, like, I wasn't happy. And I just thought that the money that I was getting paid for doing such a good job was enough. And then that shift, I was like, man, I don't care if I'm living in a tent out here in the dirt. I'm just so much happier than when I go back into the office. And then he actually didn't like the person that I became when I came back into the office. And I lasted probably like another year and a half there. But I think that was kind of the beginning of the end. And I was like, look, if I put this much discipline into running a race for myself, I can put the same amount of discipline. I may get paid a third of the price, but I can own my own business, set my own hours, see my kids, be with my wife, work from home, and impact other people's lives. And now I found, like, through coaching, that the people who I coach, if they go run their first marathon, or if they get, that's so much more fulfilling to me than me getting another buckle at a 100 miler or another buckle at a 200 miler. So it really was that first big race that I did. And I keep coming back to Coconut 250, but it was the big 250 that I did where I was like, I don't have to do this anymore. I can kind of do my own thing, and it gave me the confidence to go do my own thing.
Yeah. The big thing is, like,
I'm sure accomplishing something like that too makes you believe.
Yeah. I mean,
you can do anything after that.
Yeah. You even said it too, after Kodiak. So I just finished my first 100-mile distance at Kodiak. That was my redemption at the distance. The first time I tried it was Javelina. DNF that, bunch of different reasons, excuses could be, but either way, didn't finish that one. So Kodiak was my first real, like, redemption at it, exactly a year later. And, you go to these places in your mind, and, like, you nailed it. There's nothing left in the body and the ego to really push you away. But you just have to face everything. I mean, I had a moment in there where just broke down completely, and I don't break down ever, but there's just nothing holding you back. And it wasn't even like a moment of pain and suffering. It was this moment of beauty, right? The point that I was at in the race, the pain that I was feeling, the fact that I was still moving was, like, such a beautiful experience that I broke down in that sense. And it wasn't like anything sad, right? It was all just happy. And after that, we had a lot of conversations where you told me, I bet you feel like you could do anything now. And it's the confidence that you gain from pushing your body, whatever distance it is, 50, 100 marathon, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever it is, when you push past that point where your body and your mind wants to give up, but you keep going and then you come out, it gives you this new sense of appreciation for the things that were, quote, hard in life, right? And you can face them with this confidence that's unmatched. I don't know. It just gives you, I think, Goggins, after his Moab, right, where he said, you get 90 or like 30 years of experience in 100 miles. And, so he had like 90 years of life experience in that 240 miles. I mean, it's just unmatched. So I think going through something like that, challenging whatever the distance is, I recommend it to everybody in this world. I keep trying to get him to do something. I know
5 miles.
You're always jealous.
I can feel it at 5 miles.
You're always jealous of people taking this leap, right? stop being jealous and just join us.
Yeah, just go from 1 mile a day to 5 miles. That's my plan.
Nope, you can do 5 miles. You do it at a soccer game, and I've seen you do it. So I need you to push to where all of Juice's ego is gone, and you're broken down, and you feel like there's nothing left, and you go do it.
Well, Steve, I did run a half marathon without training, so I did break down. I just was like, I have no desire.
It's not enough.
I was like, I have no desire to feel
Not
that
enough
again.
juice. You got to do it further.
Did you not feel anything at 100 or at 50? Like, did it took for you to run 250 to get to that point where you really felt something for the first time, or?
No, I mean, I think running 1 mile is hard. And like you said, I think there's something hard about every distance that you run. I think it was a combination of being on the trail, because it's pretty crazy. I hadn't done a 100-mile trail race before Cocodona. I had only done the Jackpot Ultra 24-hour race, which was
this is not a coach recommendation right here, but
no, yeah, absolutely not.
What was the longest distance you did before that?
It was a 24-hour race at the Jackpot Ultra. So I'd made it to like 105, 110 miles or something like that the year before I did Cocodona.
Okay.
And then,
which is just that race just ended. So he's not familiar with the ultra world, but this is where the race just happened last weekend. It's a looped course on like some pavement track, little dirt track. What is it? 44 loops or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget. Yeah. But yeah, so that just happened, and, doing that distance, but then he did this relatively flat course 44 times and then decided, okay, let's go to Cocodona
250
in the mountains.
Yeah. And I think it was finally being able to, like, even during training, like knowing I had that way out in the distance, but that's when I jumped a lot on the trail, and being able to, there's something to be said about just being in nature. Like, while you're there, it's very spiritual. And then that's kind of where, like I said, you're connected to everything, whatever that higher power that you think it is. If it's God, if it's whoever, like, you're there and you're talking to them the entire way. You're talking to whoever you want to talk to. You may be talking to your hallucinations, but
I was just gonna say,
yeah, you're out there talking to, it's just you, and it's good. Like, we're in the middle of the pack, right? So while we are competitive, and even the elites are competitive, but they're super humble. They're the nicest elites I've ever met from any other sport that I've kind of dealt with. But I really think they're not competing against each other. Maybe the top 5 are, but everybody else is competing against the course. They just want everybody to kind of succeed against the course. And just being able to be out in nature for 4.5 days by yourself on your feet. The only thing that you have to focus on is the next step. Finally being able to be 100% present in something was just otherworldly for me. And then that's kind of where I was like, all right, this is where it is. This is my jam. So that's why I like trails and everything.
And being
like
100% present in something you're passionate about is also the difference, right? You talked about being 100% present no matter what you do. That's just the type of person you are, right? But being 100% present in a corporate job that you did not enjoy is different from being 100% present in something that you're passionate about. And, you took this leap into coaching. There was something you were doing you're passionate about. Coaches, shout out to all of you guys, because you guys are just as invested in us as we are in ourselves. I have a great coach, Melissa Henderson, and she's just, I see the passion that she has, building, my workouts, seeing the progress, right? Rooting your athlete on as it goes through. And it just gives you like this other sense of being hyped, right? To see somebody else working, through this whole journey with you, trying to make sure you both succeed and
watching them achieve their goals.
Yeah. I mean, what does that feel like as a coach, watching somebody who comes to you and says, I want to do 100 miles, Steve. I want to be just like you.
And do you ever just go, it's not for you, buddy. Like, it's not. I know you don't do that.
Yeah, no, I've never said that because I truly believe that anybody can kind of do this. And like evidence, like I said, my mom and I are taking on a 100-miler at the end of March together, and she's 63. But you do have, now I'm not going to say it's not going to be easy. It's definitely going to be hard. So you do, I will have those conversations with people like, we can do this. You can do this. It's just going to, one of the biggest things and the hardest things to tackle is the patience side of it. They may want a 100-miler in 2 months, where I may say that may not be doable. But if you give me 6 months, I think we can get there. But it's going to have to be a fully dedicated 6 months. And these are the steps that we're going to have to do to get there. I don't think you have to go from a marathon 50K, 50-miler to a 100-miler. You can step up somewhere in between there if you want. You could skip over the 100K or whatever. That's good for you if you want to get that race experience along the way, just to get those like race nerves out of the way and like learn how race day kind of, how you feel on race day as you're going. But I think you can kind of skip over distances as long as you're putting in that proper training block. I truly believe that anybody can do it. And I really, like, I appreciate, I fully invest myself into my athletes. I love when they finally hit their goals, especially when they haven't been able to hit them on their own by themselves. And a lot of times it's, they're capable, but they just need somebody else in their corner who's knowledgeable, and one will kind of guide them in the right direction, but then also just somebody else that believes in them and tell them like, yeah, you got this. You put in the work, trust the process, trust yourself, and really just work on just moving that next step. Like sometimes it's even small things like eat on the run, or like don't spend an extra 5 minutes at the aid station, because there's 10 aid stations and you're spending 5 minutes at it, that's an extra hour, and that might be a cutoff. So just little things like that where they may not have thought of during their training. But I love when people hit their goals, like I said, more than when I hit my goals.
Yeah, that's awesome. You guys are a different breed, and just everything that you just said there is so spot on. I found my coach because I DNF'd Javelina, and I needed somebody to help me get to that goal. I was so busy with life, and at the time I was back in school, kids. I needed somebody who had been there before to show me the way, right? And there's things, just like you said, that you don't realize unless you've done those races yourself. 5 minutes at an aid station adds up. If you do 15 minutes, 20 minutes over 100 miles, those were little tips that you just don't know unless you're out there. I skipped the 100K and went from the 50 to 100 mile. But I always recommend, going each of those distances, because each distance I learned something new about my body, right? Everything marathon and under is a whole different set of problems. But once you go past the 50K mark, it becomes a whole nother set, right? Fueling, what it is that your body actually does. It's so weird that your body has this shift, right, at that 32-mile mark. And you're like, whoa, what is happening right now? And even on the 50-miler, I still feel that shift, happen around that 30-mile mark. I'm like, oh, this is my body telling me, you need to eat more. You need to figure something out. And whatever the plan was is going awry. At the 100-mile mark, again, right on cue with the 62 miles. So the next 50K, you go through this other wave, and then you're like, how am I going to get out of this? But it comes with running these races and having the experience and just pulling from the wealth of knowledge out there. I think you also nailed it when you said a lot of these elites are very humble, and they're so cool that you can reach out to a lot of them, and they have such a passion for this sport that they let you know what they know. And, if you're ever curious, ask anybody, right? Ask anybody in this space, hey, what is it that you went through? I think most people should really take advantage of the community in this sport and be able to not be scared to go ask somebody a question. This is my ADD coming in, because we talked about this. I don't know, a few weeks ago. elite runners who are running, the David Roche, the Hans Troyer, they're running these 100 miles, 12 hours. Obviously very painful, insane, right? How is this even possible? My question is, do you think that it still hurts if they were to run it at an RPE 2 or 3? Do they still feel the same way? I don't know why.
This is just what does that mean?
Okay, your relative perceived effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're going all out. They're racing, right?
Right.
So we talked about this. Like if I go, what I'm going to do on this next, so I'm doing O'Neill Park 50K, but I'm trying to do that as fast as I can. So I'm really actually trying to go race this thing. We talk about me doing 50 miles is okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. If I go out there and cruise 50 miles, I can cruise 50 miles now. Cruising the 30 miles is fine, but I'm trying to push it. Do you think that they feel the same amount of pain going at a lower pace than they do racing? And like, I guess the question I'm really trying to figure out is, are they, if an elite runner went and ran 100 miles at my pace, would they just walk away and be like, oh, okay, I feel good? Or do you think it would still have some pain?
I think it would actually probably hurt them a little bit more. One, because they're not, there's a big difference of being on your feet for 12 hours and being on your feet for 24, 30 hours in a 100-mile race, Yeah. So with that comes a whole host of other problems where, they may have blisters and calluses that they may not have experienced at 12 hours or 11 hours, and then they got to fuel for a whole other 12 hours with most of them are fueling at like 120 grams of carbs. So with that brings like stomach issues. Yeah. So I think like they would absolutely be able to do it, but I think they actually would probably feel a little bit crappier than they would if they didn't do like an RPE 8 or 9 for their whole entire race.
Yeah, you hear that? Everybody listening, we are our own breed of middle pack runners, all right?
And that's another question I have. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, so I talked to Rachel Entrikin, and she was I think she's 2 or 3 time winner of the Cocodona 250. She won it the year that I did, I think the year that I did the documentary, she won it. That was her first win. So she did it in somewhere around, I would say 55 hours or something like that, which is incredible. I finished all my Cocodonas around 116 hours. So it's like 4.5 days. So when I was talking to her, I was like, look, hope you know that you finished the race, took a shower, like went to bed, had breakfast, had a whole other day, like, and then another day, and then I finished. I was like, that's just the amount of accomplishment that you had, how much you pushed and went through. And then she gave props. Like, that's why I say they're always so humble to the back of the packers, because the person who's DFL, which is dead effing last, they're out there for the cutoff for Cocodona is 120 hours. I think 120, 125 hours. So that's like 5 days you're out there. That's a whole set of other problems. And they really respect all of the runners in there. And I love that they are usually there at the end cheering on the people who finish last. Yeah. So, which is amazing. I don't know if I see that in any other sport. They really do like the community of the sport, and it's just, it's incredible to see.
Yeah, I'm getting closer to the connection of Rachel. I'm playing a game of 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. So the guy who wrote the show music for this podcast is Roy Moynihan, who in turn had her run his turkey trot in Flagstaff, and she was the turkey. So one more step away. I'll get to Rachel eventually.
Wow. So Steve, I had another question. Why do you guys push further and further distances instead of like just running the 100 faster? What, like after the 250, are you going to go even further? Will there ever be a distance where you're like, okay, that's it, I'm not running any further than this?
There is the Arizona Monster, which is 300. That's kind of on the bucket list somewhere on there. Badwater 135 is on there too. I think I just like hot races. I don't know if I'll go any further than like 300 miles. One, because there's not a race that's further than that. If I feel like doing 100. I may try to do it a little bit faster. But I just think I like pushing my body that way to see how far I can go instead of how fast I can do a race, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for
Do
me,
you think you learn something different at each distance? Like you find out more about yourself at 200, I guess.
Versus the 100.
yeah, there's always that, like, I mean, even now, even at the start of the Mammoth 200 that was last October, the worst time for me is right before the gun goes off, because that's when everything, like, I'm sitting there.
We spend so much time tracking pace, distance, heart rate, and all these external metrics, but we don't track the thing that actually matters most: how we're moving. Alethea is a sensor that clips to your waistband and tracks the force your body experiences when you run. Not just you're running 8-minute miles, but how your body is actually absorbing impact. Whether you're braking too much, whether one leg is doing more work than the other. They call it a force portrait. And when I first saw mine, it was like, damn, this is what's actually happening when I run. This is where I'm inefficient. This is where I'm setting myself up for injury. And here's why this matters. Most running injuries don't just happen. They build over time because of the imbalances and inefficiencies we can't see. You're overstriding. You're landing too hard on one side. Your form is breaking down in ways you don't notice until something hurts. Alethea catches that before it becomes a problem. You get personalized feedback after every run. It tells you exactly what to work on, not generic advice, but your specific issues based on your unique biomechanics. I'm not saying this lightly. If you're serious about running long term, this is the tool you need, because staying healthy is how you keep showing up. Head to alethea.run and use promo code RUNSCARED10 today.
And like 30 seconds before the gun goes off, I'm like, there's no reason I should be here with all these other people. They know exactly what they're doing. Even after having finished 3 250s, I'm like, I'm not going to finish this race.
Gosh.
It's like your confidence is shot. But then when I tell all my athletes that, you can think those things, but as soon as the gun goes off, that's the time they have to go all the way. So that's like in any race. And that's what I learned about myself is you can have all the doubts in the world and you could be scared of it, but you could still go do it. And then that's kind of what I try to impart in all my athletes.
Lesson.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because this guy's going to run across the whole state of New
Mexico.
Nice.
I haven't announced it yet officially. So my home state is New Mexico. I'm from Las Cruces. Like I mentioned, my dad was a Lockheed Martin guy, so we lived on the other side of White Sands Missile Range. I grew up around over there, and I noticed that there's really no FKT, official FKT for the entire state. Looking at a couple routes. One of them is a 900-mile route. But obviously, logistically, that's insane to have 2 weeks out there doing something like that. But we'll see. I do want to go further and further distances. I'm on the same boat as you. It's like, okay, now what else can the body do? What else can the body do? What more can I do? And I'm sure at some point it becomes what kind of attracted me to that was I really wanted to see what it felt like running multiple consecutive days at 50, 100 miles, 60 miles, right? What can I do day after day after day? What's the distance? So that to me...
Is it a mental thing that you're searching for?
I am mental issues for sure. 150% I have
I think
a
we
mental
all do.
issue.
Right. That's kind of my question. Is it a mental thing that you guys are searching for? Like a mental clarity that you're trying to find?
Personally, for me, it was when I put my mind to this, it was no longer, it wasn't about everybody else, right? It was just, I proved something to myself that I thought was impossible and crazy, and I survived it and I did it. If I'm capable of pushing through an entire training block, a workload, and the race itself, what else can I do?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more of just, while I can still do it, I'm going to physically see what I can do, because even though it's a physical sport, so much mental. Like Steve says, you can have all those thoughts in there, but as soon as that race starts, you better not let any of that creep in. And I'll take some of my therapy lessons that I learned, right? We call it a Teflon mind, right? You can have that thought on your plate there, but it better slip off and let it go. And I think that's just another important muscle to have, and tactic tool to have in your toolbox is being able to allow that thought in and let it go, because you're in a battle with yourself.
Yeah.
You're just constantly battling yourself. And you mentioned, Steve, that life prepared you for running. I'm in a place where running has prepared me for life, right? Going through these things, I learned patience. I learned overcoming obstacles. Patience is the huge thing that I'm still learning. So maybe I got to run more and more distances to really nail the patience down. But I want to kind of circle back to the documentary. Steve, what was it like watching that whole project after the fact? You made it, you did it. What was it like to sit back? Because races to me feel like a blur. Right. Yeah. They're a blur, and you had documentation through the whole entire process. That's got to be surreal in its own aspect. What were you feeling when you watched the project after it was all done?
It came out better than I had, and something different than I had ever expected it to be, which is why, in the beginning, I would give my ideas to Seth and Kyle, who were the guys from Sack Fly, and I'd be like, hey, how about if we do this? How about if we do this? And they're like, yeah, that's great. But then they would be like, well, here's why we shouldn't do that. And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm not a creative guy. I'm a numbers guy. I'm an engineer by trade. Like, I'm an operations guy. So you guys are the creatives. You do whatever you want. So I saw like one cut of it. There was like two things I wanted to change, and then they did it. And then I saw the final cut along with the rest of my family at like a premiere like 2 years ago, I think 2024 in December, with the rest of my friends and family and stuff like that. And it really came across better than I had ever hoped or had ever expected it to have come across. So it was really incredible. And then when I do watch it back, like we'll watch it every once in a while with my kids too. Those highs and lows throughout the race, it helps. They come back, and I could physically feel those highs and lows again, which is pretty incredible. I learned that too, where in my previous position, I learned to like let go of that creative process, because the CEO would always interject himself into things, and then like it would be muddled up, and then like he didn't let the creative people do the creative jobs. He was kind of more of a wasn't as creative as I thought he was. I'll probably get a cease and desist for this, but whatever. That's where I learned to let go. I was like, okay, these guys are the creative ones, so just let go. And I did, and I'm glad I did, because some of the things that I wanted to do, it wouldn't have made sense anyway. So yeah, they did an amazing job, and I don't think I could have come up with something as beautiful as they did. And they found, they didn't come in with here's what the story's going to be. They shot as much as they could, and then found different through lines and different stories throughout as I was running. Kind of with
that actually. Oh, sorry. So sorry. That actually comes through the documentary so much, because you can tell it was not a forced storyline, and every race
that would be hard to do.
Every race is different. You don't know what the storyline is on any race.
Right.
I mean, you can't plan for any of this stuff. You just have to document and let it unfold. And that's what radiated through this documentary, was the fact that you guys just let it breathe and unfold on its own naturally. And
when I film your documentary, though, I'm going to throw some obstacles in there just to make it more exciting. Just throw a random bear that runs across. See how you deal with that.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see if you even survive the next one.
Again.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The only rule
that's great.
the only rule I had for them was, look, Katie's the crew chief. When she says go, you better go. And I'm not, there's no like double takes. Like I'm not going back and walking back through a shot just so you can get your shot. So make sure everything is ready to go. And then there was one time during the filming, Kate was like, it was like either the second day or third day where they had never really been sleep deprived like that either. And they were kind of like out of it and everything. And Katie had to be like, all right, it's time to go. Like you got to get your stuff together. Stop being babies. Like, let's go. She had to like wake them up a little bit. And they're like, oh, okay, this is like
the crew chief them too.
She did. She pretty much did. She's like, it's time to go. Like, this is serious stuff. So get your stuff and gear and time to move.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's it's so true. I think that's the other thing is people often underestimate sleep deprivation. I fortunately had many years of sleep deprivation training. I know that is my superpower. Like I said, sober 8 years this year. And, many of those years previously, I did not sleep for many, many days at a time. So I know what it's like to be weird and awake for multiple days. And that's where I thrive. I'm like, sun's down. Let's do this thing, right? The sun's going to be up. It
was easier for you to run at night.
Oh yeah, so much easier for me to run at night. I could and being tired too. My coach really still gets mad at me because my sleep patterns are the most. Anybody listening, sleep and recovery is so important into a training plan. You have no idea. I am shooting myself in the foot every day. My coach knows I am because I do not get the right amount of sleep. I would be so much better if I did. So I apologize, Melissa. I am going to get better.
And didn't eat fried chicken.
And I eat terrible too, but that's a whole nother podcast and a whole nother episode of how bad I eat. So I mean, you were going to ask something else?
Oh no, I think I did.
I don't know, man, this is just beautiful. Like I really just, I hope that everybody listening gets a chance to watch this documentary. Steve, can you let our listeners know where they can find it? And I will post it in the show link.
Yeah, they can find it on Vimeo on demand. So if they just go to Vimeo on demand, it's Oh No, a Cocodona 250 story. They can just search for it there. Mm-hmm. There's a link for it on my Instagram, SoCal Runner, and then my website, SoCalRunnerCoaching.com. If you go there, there's a tab for it, and it'll take you right to there too.
Perfect.
It's still in like, I guess, quality control check for Amazon. I'm trying to get it on Amazon. Unfortunately, Amazon changed the rules just as we were about to release it, where usually you could have just posted anything you want, like kind of like YouTube, but now you need a distribution company. So I have a smaller distribution company that's what they deal with is streamers. So it was just taking forever. And I was like, you know what, I got to get it out there. So I started with Vimeo on demand, but hopefully it'll be on Amazon in the next couple months.
Oh, awesome.
Awesome.
Very, very good. I guess I have one final question. Two final questions. Are you taking on athletes right now? Are you currently taking on new athletes for coaching? Are you available with that?
Yeah. So I have the capacity to do about 30 athletes, and I'm about 17, I think. So I could take on about 13 more athletes. And I also coach the group coaching for Fleet Feet Laguna Niguel. So I do all their group coaching, which is awesome. Right now we're training for the OC full and half marathons and the John Wayne Grit Series 30K in May. And then we'll have a summer speed session coming up for 5K distances, probably starting in the June timeframe. So you can check that out. I coach their group things there. And then I also have two other coaches that work with me under the SoCal Runner coaching umbrella, Michelle and Milton. They're both USCA certified coaches as well. So if I don't have it, they always have capacity as well too.
Nice.
Very nice. So if anybody listening is looking for a person with a wealth of knowledge and experience in a lot of long races under their belt.
Very, very
maybe if
long
you're looking
races.
for something in that specific 200-mile range, you're thinking Mammoth
Even
this
under
year.
that.
Even under that, yeah. I will link all of your stuff in the show notes here, and I hope that they can reach out to you.
Would you coach somebody that can only like barely run a mile? Like, would you start with somebody that is at the very beginning of their running journey?
Yeah, so I've had a couple athletes. I've had like 2 or 3 at least. And so one woman, she won a bet with her girlfriends or whatever to sign up for the New York City Marathon. And she signed up, won the lottery. It's like a 2% chance. So she had no experience at all. And I coached her, and we just did like a run walk interval to start off. She went from 0 miles. Unfortunately, she had other issues where she wasn't able to go to the marathon. But then I've taken on other clients right now. She's taken on her first half marathon on her way to a marathon, doing the same thing, starting with run walk intervals, working our way up to the half marathon, working our way up to the marathon. And I pretty much did the same thing with my mom. Like I said, she's 62. She had run nothing over a 10K officially. And I coached her for about a year, and we took on the Blackbeard's Revenge 100-mile race together last March. She made it to mile 54. So she did her first official half marathon, and 50K and 50 miler in one race. And she made it 54 miles before she had some like leg issues that cropped up that didn't crop up in like training and everything. But this year, so she's trained again for a full other year. And this year I'm confident we're going to go back and get her a buckle this year too. So
dude, that is awesome.
Athletes.
Yeah, that is so cool. I can't wait to see that post-run post just to see both of you there. That shout out to your mom. Good luck. I really am rooting for you. I'm going to keep an eye out for that. The other question, is there anything that you want to leave any of our listeners with? Any advice, anything, that resonates with you, just something to lift spirits, to break down spirits, whatever you want to do with their spirits, you're in control.
Why should we run, Steve? Why should I get more into running?
I mean, I think like what Nick said too, it teaches you, I think the biggest thing it does teach you is patience, right? Because everybody right now wants to have, and you see all the runfluencers out there doing their thing, which is great. They're bringing more eyes to the sport. But I'd make sure that you're following the right people, the people who are giving the right advice in terms of that they're certified in what they're saying. Because it's not an overnight thing, right? Aerobic endurance is like one of the hardest things to kind of build up. And I see a lot of people get frustrated. They're like, I'm not where I want to be. And I'm like, according to who? Right? Like, who are you comparing yourself to? One, you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody. You should be comparing. It's even hard to compare yourself to where you were 5 years ago because we all age. Things happen. So I think patience is the biggest thing that anybody should have in their training block. Be patient with improvements. You're going to have ebbs and flows, but if you just stick with it and are disciplined, and my biggest thing is relentless consistency, and then that's what's going to bring the results. Motivation comes and goes, but if you get up and do even 3/4, even half your workout, it's going to be much better than you would be if you didn't do your workout at all. So that's kind of what I preach is just kind of, it may not be easy, but you got to do the work and be patient with yourself.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I 100% stamp of approval on that. Steve, just thank you so much for spending some time with us, sharing your story, creating this documentary. It's out where on Vimeo on demand. Like I said, I will be linking everything that we discussed in our bio. I highly recommend, if you get a chance, check it out. Anybody listening, it is just a beautiful piece of work. Just incredible. And I'm going to close the show out right now, Steve.
I have one last question.
Okay, go ahead.
What was some of the craziest things you saw running out there when you hallucinated?
Well, I saw.
We didn't get into that.
Yeah, I saw 2 hippopotamus in Arizona when I was running, but I don't think they're native to
In
Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was a hallucination.
No, I don't think they are.
Do you have a connection to hippos?
No,
Yeah.
they just showed up.
I think we need to explore that deeper.
Yeah.
We need to go open up a dream book or something. You're like, oh, the hippopotamus.
When he was a kid, he went to the zoo, and that
Yeah.
really touched him, maybe.
So I was like, yeah. And then you kind of like shake your head a little bit and they kind of go away. You're like, yeah, that's not it. And I did have a conversation with a woman in a fur coat at mile, I think of my first Cocodona, probably like mile like 120, 125, something like that. And I had a conversation with her, and I'm pretty sure she was a real person. But my wife was like, there's no way that was a real person. I was like, well, seems like she was real. So,
That's crazy.
yeah, she was
Steve,
asking us
who's
what
running
we were.
Cocodona in a fur coat right now? Okay, that was not
Yeah,
a
I
real
mean, she
person.
Was she
the-
running?
No, she was a spectator on the side. Well, not really a spectator. She was asking us what the hell we were doing. And I was trying to explain it to her. And she's like, you guys are all going to die out here doing that stuff. It's not safe.
That was
And I
me,
like,
Steve. I wasn't a woman, and that was me in a fur coat.
And my wife was like, you were probably talking to like a coyote or something. And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. It's out there now in the universe. Oh man, that's awesome.
Okay.
Steve, hang out for a minute or two. Let me close this show out, and then I'll talk with you after. Okay. Oh, beautiful. Just
Another great
I
sport.
love when we get a chance to interview people. You just get this look inside the sport that you know is there, but you just get like such a personal connection, and that's what I love about this show. I'm spoiled. I just get to
You
talk.
are spoiled.
I'm such a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
I get whatever I want, wherever I want. I get
Right.
people to cater to me on a race. I get people to sit next to me when I get to interview people that I want to talk to.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing. Hopefully I get what I want by getting you to run an ultra.
They're encouraging you to run further and further distances.
Yeah, it's just all the support. I'm so spoiled.
You are. You
Yeah.
get to talk to runners every day for a living.
All that. I want to thank all of our listeners week after week.
That was an
The
amazing
messages,
interview. I
it
just
was
take so
good.
much, like, just in my everyday life from these interviews.
Yeah. No, and we're going to get you to run that ultra marathon. I will get enough coaches around,
gonna happen.
and it's going to happen at some point. Thank you week after week for the messages that you send us,
You're
the
gonna need
messages
like a
of
team
support.
40 trainers.
I know that you guys, all those things you say about the juice, I don't tell him, so don't worry. It's okay. Thank you for all your support. Can't wait to see you guys next week. Cue that outro music.
Bitch. Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy it a lot. I'm an odd kid, like an ostrich. I got a pod, kids, here's a topic. Blaze your own trail, don't be cautious. 2 birds, 1 stone, tie rocket. Can't make an omelet without breaking a shell. But they say grew up, now I'm raising hell. Haters gonna hate, yeah, they praying you fail. So put in the work, whether pavement or trail. The grades fell down, but they got to their feet. Run your own race, put this pod on repeat. Shake your tail feather, keep nodding your beaks. Ostrich gang, or you're not my peeps. Who says you need to fly to reach the top?